Hi, this is Nancy Jean, and welcome back to my garden. It's the 7th of December, which was known in the day and still is as Pearl Harbor Day, which was the start of the U.S. entry into World War II. I'm so old, I had friends who had relatives die in Pearl Harbor. So, anyway, we thank the people who've sacrificed their lives. We thank the people who serve us still in the military. Now, to get on to today. Today I'm going to talk about a question. I got a question from Grandma Nan, and it was a really simple one, so I thought, I can take this one on. And it was basically, how do I know if I'm on my soul's right path and if I'm moving along spiritually? A tiny little question that we're going to answer. But first, we start off today by, once again, I pulled my inner child card, and today it's the Three of Swords. Now, if you know much about tarot, you know the Three of Swords is normally a pretty nasty looking card. It's normally three swords sticking through a heart or something bleeding out somewhere. Well, in this card, the way they've interpreted it is the stress that's caused in the other ones where the knives are sticking through the hearts and everybody's bleeding out is because people don't have a balance between their spirit, their heart, and their body. And that's what the three swords on here mean, the spirit, the heart, and the body. Now, if you do get them and you make a little triangle and you start playing on them, you can pull in your own freedom. You can pull in the bird of freedom. And it's like people say, but I get caught up in my thoughts. I get running with what I'm thinking about, and I get just obsessed with what I'm thinking about. Well, if you think about your brain and your thoughts as an orchestra, and some of your thoughts are going to be drums, and those are probably going to be fear or something rumbly or very terrifying. Then there's going to be some of the thoughts are going to be violins, and they're going to play and speak and be very melodic and be very soothing. And then you're going to have the trumpets and the brass section, which announce your triumphs. Those are just three examples of how you can think about your thoughts. If you don't tie in to listen to the drum beat, but you go with the other guys, you're probably going to be happier. And once you start really orchestrating your thoughts, you can start to move forward and feel better about things and find a way to escape from the negativity. Because we've been through a time where we couldn't escape the drums. The drums were there every day, and the more we tried to get away from the drums, somebody said, oh, but you need to listen to the drums because you don't know what's happening. You don't need to listen to the drums. You have to listen to them if they're protecting you personally, where you are. And it doesn't hurt to have some knowledge of them, but it's just not the thing people make it out to be. And then you can listen to the more melodic voices in your head, the violins, and then when you do good stuff, make sure you pay attention to those trumpets playing and helping you get it forward. Then you start to build a balance of body, mind, and spirit, and you're like this young girl playing your little triangle and spinning the world along. Now, to get to Grandma Nan's question, I can answer this question for her because it's about her. Now, there are other people who, when I used to table read, and the best thing I ever did in my life was table read because, boy, you really understand about people's hearts and where your heart is and what you care to. I had to take a quick trip to change my name to Nancy Jean's Garden. If you ask me a question, she asked an appropriate one. It's, well, where am I and what am I going on around me? Even if there may be other people involved, I can talk about them. But when I used to read at tables, I would get people who would come up and they go, what happened to my dirty rotten ex? Where is he? Is he coming around the corner? And I was like, no, I'm not reading about your dirty rotten ex. If your dirty rotten ex wants to know what I think, he can come ask. What do you want to know? What's bothering you today that would bring his image up? That's an appropriate question. That's one of the reasons why I really don't like doing a lot of politics, because a lot of times it's, yes, what are they doing? and it's my dear little Republican mother. She and I had differences, but my dear little sweet Republican mother was very, very, very active in politics in my hometown when I was growing up. And one of the things people used to come up and they go, Helen, why are you even doing that? Why are you messing? Why are you sullying your hands in politics? And my mother used to always say, I'd rather sully my hand in politics than have them sully their hands on me. And I do agree. There's questions and times about political issues that are about who's sullying who and what's going on. But I just think too often it drifts into things that are really even the politicians' own business. And I don't want to go there. So we ain't going there. But we are going to go into Grandma Nan. And her super simple question is am I on the right spiritual path? And where is my soul? To connect to her soul, I believe is what she meant. Anyway, we are going to put the camera down, and I'm going to do a different kind of reading today. I call it a Spirit 7. And what you do with this reading is there's 3 cards that mean a past life vibration that's come in to help her with this life, or that she's recovering from in this life. Then there's 3 cards that mean this life, and then there's a card in the middle that tells me where Grandma Nan is in this process. And so we're going to see what shows up for her. Grandma Nan and her spiritual path. Okay. She's moving on. Grandma Nan, you're in a great space. But this was your past life. And these cards tell me about the person I'm seeing there. This is your life currently and how you're working with those energies. And this is your next step. Knights in Tarot always mean movement. They mean change. They can mean change within those suits. But this is real interesting. It shows that in her past life, Grandma Nan wrapped up a whole lot of stuff, just a whole lot of things. And she was put in some very difficult situations. She had to fight for her own. And I see her in a really cold country. You probably don't like cold much.
Power off.
But she is... she fought hard, and she had a lot of burdens that she carried in that life, and she finished them, and she did it with great grace. This is the Knight of Cups, which is heart and soul. And that's what she's trying to go back to. She understands that peace that she got from setting those burdens down. And where she is right now is she's having the opportunity to look at some new directions and to meet some new people. But she feels sort of stuck. And the Ace of Swords can mean stuck in the mud, but it also can mean the energy's not going to flow through just swimmingly. There's going to be a lot of start and stops, but that's to give you a chance to think through what you're getting yourself into, where you're going, but you are definitely in the right direction. And you have recently had a revelation and said, I really can't sit under this tree and just lollygag anymore. I need to move on. I think you're looking for new ways to express your soul and your soul's feelings and being with people, because you get the Knight of Swords, and he means either physically moving from the place you're living or moving on in a new job and a new way of being. I'm going to put a clarifier on him. But what I see is you've come out of a past life where you really learned how to have a full heart and how to have a full soul and how to live in the flow of your life. Even though that life was at times very burdensome, you had a lot of duties and you carried a lot for a lot of people. And you also may not have been as happy with yourself in that life as you wanted to be. You didn't let the happiness in. I think it was more that than you couldn't have been happy. I'm so burdened with this. You focused on the burden instead of focusing on the fulfillment. So we're going to pull out the Knight of Swords, which is your center card and where you're going next. Those are nice life cards, though. And you're not doing a bad job in this life either, Grandma Nan. You just want to move on. And I think you feel like you're at a point in your life where you're starting to get burdened again, and you don't want to have to feel that way. So we're going to put 3 guys on the Knight of Swords and see what I can tell you about the situation that will help you move forward. Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to go out and speak for yourself. You want to take more control of your life and move forward. You understand your life's been out of balance and you don't want it to fall out of balance the way it had before and in your past life. Actually, you don't want to become overburdened, so you're trying to ditch things. And even though sometimes things seem like a good time and like fun and the people are reaching out to you, unless they're carrying their share, the party's not for you. You may be the person who's always the hostess, or the one that always makes the food, or the one that always handles all the details. And you want to go to a party that somebody gives that's just for you. And the bottom of this deck is the Two of Swords. You feel tied down right now, and yet you've had that vision, the Four of Cups reversed. You're ready to move. And I think you're a highly intuitive person. I think you learned from your past life to have the open soul, the soul of the Knight, if I can find him, to be this guy, the Knight of Cups, to have that open soul and that loving feeling for people. And that's what you want to move to. That's where you want to move to. But you want to do it in a way that's affirming for you, that you become your own individual. So I think if you started on a spiritual path, I bet you're second guessing yourself. You're hearing things in your head and you're saying, I ought to go this way. But instead you're saying, oh, no, that can't be right. It can be right. And it is right. And it's Grandma Nan's reading. Now, for those of you who would like, don't mind doing a public reading, if you post your questions below, that's great. If you would like, I'm going to talk more about grids and crystals, and I know that's the one that's been my most watched tape, but I want to talk a little bit about my ground rules. I really, really appreciate everyone who watched my videos, commented, those lovely folks who chose to subscribe and like. I want to put a shout out to Kim and Intuitive You for having posted it, and because I got so many comments, I'm here because of Kim. I also want to thank Sheila at Celtic Tarot, because she also apparently has been talking about this too. And the third person I really want to thank is Lilac Lantern, and remind you that I will have posted with you where she and I are doing a live show on Thursday. And if you're interested in crystals, I'm going to go through the process of how I use the cards to focus the energy to decide what crystal grid ought to be built. I'm not going to build the crystal grid right then, because that means going through drawers and drawers and drawers of crystals and finding just the right set of rocks. But I do believe she and I have agreed to, for everyone who comments and puts in there, I want a grid, I will pull one of those, and whatever grid we build that night will be your grid. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to say, well, that's just a generalized grid. Trust me, there are a whole bunch of people who are watching this video who are going to say, yeah, I'm where Grandma Nan is. Yeah, I mean, does this relate to me? And then they're going to think about the message I got. The blessing I learned from reading on tables and reading people. And if you don't know what reading on table is, it means I had my decks there. People just walked up and I read their cards. And inevitably, if I was at a point where I was making a decision about, should I go do this or should I go do that? I'd get all sorts of people with the Two of Swords who were also trying to do this or that. People whose lives were changing. When people would come up and I'd see a whole lot of people whose lives were changing, they were moving on to much better jobs or moving on to much better prosperity and abundance. I loved those days because that was a message to me. Guess what's on my doorstep? There were also those kind of tough days where people were dealing with loss, and it made me have to relook at how I had dealt with loss and how much of that loss I really had let go and what I was still having hang around me. I'm also going to put out a video that talks about all the different things I've used in my life to help me transform. Other than the cards going to the crystals and the crystals going to chakra colors and color studies and all that. I'm going to talk about some other things you may not be aware of, and you may, like tapping, which is a way to wake up energy systems in your body. And also I'm going to talk about my personal journey for the last 18 months has been phenomenal, but I've lost close to 100 pounds. And I have 50 more to go. So I ain't a skinny little thing yet. And even when I lose 50, I'm not going to be a skinny little thing. But I want to talk about this. I talk about people's minds. I talk about their spirit. But it really is your body's there too. And part of, and I read cards at my upper limit weight for a long time. There's nothing wrong with being overweight if that's where you want to stay. But all of a sudden I found the tools to help me lose weight and get control of some of the situations. I'm 71 years old. I take no meds. And at my age, the average 71-year-old in America takes 8 medicines to stabilize their body. I just stabilized my body by my diet. So I'm going to talk about that journey too. And if you'd like to hear more about my diet and stuff, put it in the memo. If you'd say, I don't want to hear about your weight loss, put that in because I'll consider that. Maybe it's not what everybody wants to hear. But I kind of want to make this channel about what you want to know, and I'll pick through my brain and see what I know that I can help you with to give you guidance and help. If you are interested in having a crystal done for you personally, the email to contact me is crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com, and I will be glad to send you a thing. And I start with just a no charge Zoom meeting with you quickly, and we discuss whether this is the best thing for you or not. And then we move on from there. I also do personal readings that get a lot more detailed. I have a lot of different ways that I read about people. And so if you're interested in that, let me know. And otherwise, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when I think I'm going to be talking more about crystals and how crystals connect to the numerology, the sacred geometry, and some of the other things that are important that I use as tools to understand what I'm seeing when I look into the future. I also am working on another video called Ghosts, Guides, and Angels, and I've met all three. The ghosts you can take, I don't like them. The guides and the angels, it's kind of an interesting story. So I'm hoping to be able to have that one out tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing your comments. Please share, please subscribe, and please like. And I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.